Hello everyone. Hey, Emi,
Hello.
¿qué tal? We are going to speak in Spanish or English. We are both Spanish speakers, so if we sometimes switch to Spanish, sorry, that's the tendency. But hey, no, happy to be here. See people from Brazil, Saudi Arabia, Romania, Czech Republic, Philippines,
Insane.
Germany.
It's
I will
insane.
try to put everyone here online. I also see Montreal, and hey, really happy to be here, and also happy because today we are going it wasn't planned. I'm going to be fully honest with you. Last time we talked about how we can do image analysis and more. And then I met Emiliano, who has an amazing solution to get a sense of the traffic cameras in a city, if they are stuck here or not, basically beat the jams here and there. So that's going to be the idea for today. So before we start, I'm Bruno from the cloudadvocate.net team. Super happy to be here. Again, leave where you are joining, any questions, everything in the chat. And hey, Emi, how are you? Welcome to the show.
First of all, thanks for having me. It's an amazing experience to be here. And yeah, here to talk about how I fix my life sometimes with programming. And yeah, my name is Emiliano. I am a developer here on Spain, on the Tenerife Island. And yeah, super happy to be able to share stuff with you. Also, I learned from you. That's the good thing. For everyone knows, like the stuff that I'm going to show here, I actually learned from Bruno. So it's an amazing community we have.
Hey, thanks a lot. That's the best feedback ever. And Beat, I will do my best. I will try to learn something in the next one. I will try to say, hello, this is Bruno in Czech, but I don't have any promise. Before we start, super quick one. And you probably saw the banner on the bottom. We are literally a couple of weeks away from the .NET Conf. This is an amazing time of the year where I think the agenda is already there, the speakers are already there and more. But please go to dotnetconf.net. This is a full set of 2-3 days online with a lot of sessions where we are going to talk about the new version of .NET, a lot of AI stuff, Aspire stuff, Blazor, and more. So please, if you can, go register and give us feedback. And also, it's a great chance to meet people and learn the latest and greatest about .NET. So with that said, because we have a packed agenda, Emi has a lot of content to share. Is this okay if I share your screen, Emi?
I'm on it. I think you can do it right now, I think. Yes.
Perfect. There it is. So a little context for this. We met, I think it was last week, in an event for Latin America for a couple of Colombia friends. And I saw this and I said, oh my God, this is amazing. So what I like about the MVPs, and Emi is going to introduce himself, is literally took 10 seconds to say, hey, do you want to talk about this? Yes, I'm here. So here we are to talk about GPT Vision models, Aspire, Blazor, and more. So all you, I am going to ask questions. And hey, if someone has a question, like an example, Fatima saying, hola from Tenerife, hello from Tenerife, drop the question in the chat. I will keep an eye on the chat and I will try to help answer the question in real time. So, Emi, all yours.
Okay. So thanks, Bruno, again for the opportunity. Yeah, I'm really amazed of what I'm going to show you because it's amazing. So basically, the title is Beat Traffic Jams with .NET Aspire and GPT Vision models. So first of all, before starting with everything, I'd like to introduce myself. So because this is my first time here, so my name is Emiliano, Emiliano Montesdeoca. I am MVP on the developer technologies since 2022, about 3 years now, and I work as a solution architect. I do and break stuff always here at my company, so that's fun. I do really love Blazor, so I used to give a lot of sessions on Blazor because I do love it. But I wanted to move on other stuff, so I wanted to try more stuff. So I found NET Aspire thing, and then also AI, which is the big thing, and it's scary, but you need to get into it. I am Uruguayan, so I am from Uruguay, but I do live in Spain since I'm 8, so about 22 years now. And I live in a small island, so the small island is important for the future, for what I'm going to say next. But it's a small thing, a small island called Tenerife, and it's a super beautiful thing. Yeah, if you want to find me and you can ask me any questions, whatever you want. You can find me in X or Twitter. You can find me at Montesdeoca with 2 A's because the single one it was took, so I had to use 2 A's. that's a bad thing. And then you might have my blog there, and anything else, I am with a single A, so I'm in Montesdeoca. So you can find me anywhere you want. So things I like. Okay, so I want to break the ice here with people, so they get to know me. So I like a few things, and I dislike a few things. But the things I like, which I enjoy every day in my life, I have this is in Spanish because we say it on Spanish, which is el asado, which is basically barbecue. I love barbecue. El mate, which is a drink we drink in Uruguay, Argentina, and a couple of Latin American countries. And I like paddle. So paddle, you most likely know because now it's getting popular all around the world. But it's a sport, so I could do barbecue, drink mate, and do paddle every single day. And there's one thing that I hate, and I think also Bruno hates, and everyone hates, is traffic jams. I hate traffic jams. I really hate them, and this is gonna be sound funny because you most likely in all the places you're looking from, there's way worse than in my country, in my Iceland. But I do really hate traffic jams. So and I want to show you why. So basically, I'm gonna go fast on this. Is that I recently moved in my island, moved from one place to another, and I used to go like 5 minutes to my office. So I had to go twice to my office. Like this is hybrid, and I used to take 5 minutes. But then I moved like 20 kilometers. It's a small thing, right? But then I take 1 hour every single 2 days that I have to go to the office. So as I said, you see on the top left, like my island is super small. It's about 24 kilometers. I think like you can laugh because I know people that they have to work and they have to make like 100 kilometers. It's insane. But then for me, this is a lot. So here it says 24 to 40 minutes. That's a complete lie. It's a complete lie. There's no way it's 40 minutes. It's always an hour to an hour and a half. So the story becomes like I move here, and then every morning I have to wake super early because I don't want to be late. I have meetings and everything. So there's these public cameras on the island. Like this is public from the government, and then you can see them. So I wake up in the morning super in the bed, and I go to the page, and I see, oh, it's traffic already, so I'm gonna be late. And I was like, you know what? There's stuff that we can do for this, right? So I was like, I know a few things. I know programming. I know how to make websites. I know Blazor. I kind of know another technology to build stuff like it's .NET Aspire. And then, you know what? I want to really, really, really learn about AI. And you know what? I saw this guy that on the internet, which happens to be Bruno, and I was like, you can add AI to anything you want. It's just called semantic kernel. And I was like, okay, I might try that sometime. So this time it came. So I wanted to build something that you can see cameras and it can tell me, there's traffic or not without me having to wake up and see the cameras. So I built a thing. So this thing is called TrafficJamAnalyzer. So this TrafficJamAnalyzer, the name is not really the best. I didn't use ChatGPT to give me the name, so I just append TrafficJam to something that I'm going to do with it. So I said analyzer, right? So this thing that I built, which is open source, by the way, you will be able to download it and see the traffic from my island. It's a tool that basically analyzes the images from the CCTV cameras, and then it goes to AI and gives a prompt, and then they ask, okay, is there traffic or not here? And then it serves to the database, so an historic value of the traffics during the day. So it's for me, it's really amazing because then I know when I don't have to leave the house. So it's built in three things basically. So NET Aspire, distributed applications. I want to talk about that later. Blazor, which is amazing. I love Blazor. I'm in love with Blazor. It's building applications without having to use JavaScript, by the way. It's insane. You just only need C# and .NET, and it just works, and it's amazing. Well, it's been trying to work a lot since the last preparations, but now it's as stable as possible now. And then semantic kernel. So I learned this. I mean, I'm not afraid to say that I learned this like 1-2 weeks ago, and it's insane how it works, how easy it is to implement AI on anything you want. So I can show you super quick about how this works before continuing on how it's built. So let me show you the actual page. I have it in here, sorry. The actual page. So this is the page basically. So we have a cute like emoji thing with the title. And then we have a couple of cameras here. So when I tell you that we have cameras, these are the cameras. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you the exact cameras we have here. This is actually public data we have on our government, where you can see all these cameras from places around my island and around the entire Spain country.
Emi, a question there, just to clarify. I know that I know the answer, but I just want to repeat it loud to see if I get it right. So this is a public website that anybody can access with basically with all of the public cameras, traffic, views, or whatever from Tenerife. That's correct. Yes. And this is what you are using to basically feed your smart traffic jam analyzer system and see what's happening here and there.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So this thing, actually, this is like as I was like, okay, if this is free, which is free because you can see it, you can actually fetch this data and you can do stuff with it. So that's what I'm feeding my AI model or whatever you can call it to tell me the amount of traffic. And as you can see, it just happened right now. It just updates by itself. So every about 30 seconds or so, you got a new image. So with that, you can be smart about it and you can use AI for it. So so these are the cameras we have, and as you can see, I made some stuff. I'm going to show it later with some microservices that you can actually fetch the data and you can have it in here. So for my case, and for demo purposes, I have a bunch of them. I actually need only 2 or 3, which are the ones that are near where I live. But you can have, this is the page, and you see here the amount of traffic, and these are when there's no traffic, and this is when there's small traffic, and then when this is super heavy traffic, which usually happens in rush hours, right? And then you also have all these cameras available for you, where you can basically say, I want to now start analyzing this specific camera, because I mean, if I live on some place, I don't want to see cameras from another part of the island. So so how this is built? So there's a few things. So I'm going to share now next. Okay. So how is this built? So as I said before, the solution itself is built with NET Aspire because I wanted to actually keep using NET Aspire and use microservices and use the ease of building stuff that just works. Microservices are basically APIs using minimal APIs. I wanted to also improve my knowledge using minimal APIs instead of using the normal boilerplate we have for APIs. Web application is built on Blazor. No JavaScript, just plain easy C#, .NET, and HTML, and Razor pages, basically, so it's insane. Then SQL Server, which in this time is in containers. I also wanted to move from having to store everything on my own instance of SQL on my local, or Azure SQL or whatever. Then, talking about the microservices, as I said before, we have 3 of them, which is, first is AI, this microservice, which is a super small minimal API that basically gets an image with the prompt, and it's going to return something saying there's traffic, there's no traffic, with the number. Then we have the scrapper, and I think, Bruno, this is what is going to answer your question, is that this is going into the page, and within the page is going to say, I find 9 cameras, get all the images, and store them on the and store that on the database. So you can start checking on that URL the existing page, right?
Before you move on, and I like this type of things, you have Alex here basically congratulating you and say that he likes that the structure of your solution. But yes, you have 0 Aspire, 1 application, microservices, services, and more, which is much more than the crappy samples that I do. So I appreciate people who are smart and organized who are doing this. So it was a small that, but thanks for the feedback, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. I mean, I always like to structure everything. Otherwise, you get lost when you start, especially when you start working with microservice. You can make 5, 6, 7, 10, 20 microservices, and if you put everything on random places, it gets annoying, and then you can't really structure a code. And the last, we have the Web API. So Web API is this microservice, also because you just call it like that. But this is where we handle data between all the services. So we have the cameras that we have enabled for the user, the available cameras, and then we could save more and more stuff. But this is just a simple thing with a single table or 2-3 tables. And last is a worker. So worker, which is a minimal API again, I just wanted to change the name so it looks cool, is this background work where you have the calls between the AI, between the scrapper, between the web API, all together, and it's doing the work for you. So this is the structure of the project, and then this is how it works. Okay, so this is a good day for you to learn Spanish because I didn't translate this to English. But basically, how it happens. So before having nothing to actually having something running and sending you that there's traffic, we have an initial fetch of CCTV cameras. And basically, when you start the application, you have nothing. The system itself goes into these public cameras and then fetches everything, and all the images, all the possible cameras we can have. And then there's a problem actually. These cameras, they don't really have any names in the page or anywhere else. It has the names on the camera stuff on the images. So we can start using AI here. So I take AI, ask for the titles. You just give me the title you see on the top left part of the image, and I update the database, and then update entries, and then user can now go and say, I want to see the camera, this camera, and this camera. So pretty straightforward. Then we have the background work, which is this analyzer I told you before, that every 1 minute, I think it's 1 minute now, it goes and then fetches your enabled ones, and then goes to the page, scrap the last image, goes to AI, then gets the response from AI, and then stores it on the database. And then this is a lie. So first time I'm here on Microsoft, this is a lie. A notification is sent, but this is not developed yet. So I need to develop, and I might ask someone of you to do a pull request, please, if you can, because this is open source, to send a notification anywhere, an email or Telegram or whatever you want to use, or push notifications. So please feel free to add a new microservice to send a notification. So on the right side here, here you can see the entire structure. So we can see that we have some stuff that talks. So we have microservices that talk between them, which is this one, and then we have notification API, which talks also with the worker, and the scrapper also talks with the worker, but the API also talks with the scrapper. So we have people talking between them, well, applications, right? But this is amazing, right? But I'm telling you stuff, but how this happens? How can we build something like this? How forget about my project and think about big applications that have not 3 microservices, but 10, 15, 12, 20, 50, whatever. Like a lot of things, a lot of databases, a lot of web apps, a lot of stuff. So when I wanted to improve my knowledge and learn how that can be, I started to ask some questions. So these are some questions that I had, which is, first of all, how we develop the containers. So I know that containers can be scary. They are for me. I don't try to work with containers because I don't know, actually. Something is scary is because you don't know. So how can I develop containers? Whenever I see a YAML file, I'm scared. I run out to ES, and then I go to Azure directly and deploy web application. But then let's say that I develop with containers, how I deploy containers. So now you get some words like Kubernetes and K8s or whatever, and you are completely lost like me. Then you deploy it somehow. How can you scale it? I don't know. I don't even know. But then how do they connect together, right? Like how can I connect some microservices while I'm using Docker, while I'm using stuff? So everything gets a bit confusing there. Then let's say you manage to connect them. How can you monitor that it works? It's a thing. You don't know. You know if it works. I don't see the logs. You have application size or not. Do you know if it fails? But the logs are not there. So how can I monitor it? But then this is the funny part. Okay, the funniest part of running this kind of stuff, like running 15 or 20 services on your local, or running 4 or 5 databases, is that how do you run it locally? So locally, how can I run 4 databases, 5 web apps, and 20 microservices in local? You run everything, and then just before you click run on Visual Studio, you just need to go to Amazon and buy a brand new PC with 12 million gigabytes of RAM, because this is going to explode. So there's no way, right? But then let's say you manage to run it, and then how can you debug it? So it's insane. I mean, you put a breakpoint where you want to debug it, and it breaks. It doesn't work. So it doesn't work. And then the last thing is that, for me at least, it was like, how do I add artificial intelligence? So how do you add AI to something? So for me, AI is ChatGPT, or it was at least. I was like, how can I add anything to? How can I add AI to anything besides asking questions and stuff? So I don't know. So for all these questions, there's Microsoft, right? So Microsoft does the stuff for us. And then for the first part about the containers, is that we have this amazing thing which is called .NET Aspire. So
yes, and I mean, I know the answer. I saw your presentation. I also been playing with Aspire a little, but I like what Eric mentioned here, that it's literally a distributed application, but it's super important to make everything work in a smooth way. I am not going to even try to pronounce harmoniously in English. I don't even know if I can pronounce that in Spanish. But yes, all of the little pieces need to work there. And I really, really like Aspire in the terms that what you mentioned, that it make it easy for us. It make it easy in the terms that, yes, we are going to show the code in a couple of minutes, but it make it easy for us to say, hey, this is the services that I have, this is the dependencies, this is how they are connected, this is how they recognize between each other, because you also have kind of, you know where is everything here and there. You can also deploy SQL and more, and Aspire is there. And hey, this is an AI show, not the Aspire show. And I know that my friends also from the .NET team and advocates, they talk a lot about Aspire, but I really like how, as you mentioned, AI is a piece here that you can add in the orchestration in the full scenario with Aspire, because this is a real end-to-end scenario. And I'm sorry, I mean, it was kind of a nice back and forward, the right timing for Eric mentioned that, yes, everything needs to run smooth in the distributed application, and Aspire is here to help. And Iljiva, sorry, I am butchering your name. Yes, Aspire and SQL. We have support for SQL. We are going to have support for more stuff on Aspire. So yes, SQL is also our best friends here and there. Sorry, Emi, back to you.
So yeah, you're right. This is a distributed application, basically. Yeah. So, but it's important what you said. Just want to comment again how we need to make it work. Because if you make it work kind of not the best way, it's technical debt that you want to have. So this seems like the best solution we have right now. So what's NET Aspire? So basically NET Aspire is there's this documentation from Microsoft, but I will say that this is the easiest way to create distributed applications. So that whatever you're building, including microservices and everything, is going directly to your cloud. So it's the best way to build cloud native applications. And why this is like the best thing? Because it includes tools for you as a developer to work on this. And I think this is the best possible thing. So because whenever I talk to people and they tell me, how do you debug stuff? And I was like, I connect to Visual Studio and I click on F9 and it just debugs everything. So they are like, yeah, don't you need to do more stuff, like going to the terminal and do stuff? No, I just click it and it works. And this is the same as NET Aspire. It helps the developer do stuff. But there's a couple of things that we have on NET Aspire that is better than anything for me. And I have a couple of things. So this couple of things. So as I said before, best cloud native application development experience. For me, at least, there's no competitor right now. I don't even touch another competitor, but I really like how we can build stuff thinking on the cloud directly. So whatever we are building right now in development is straight going to the cloud. So facilitates local orchestration. Yeah, I write Docker, but I don't like Docker at the same time. So I don't have to touch anything on Docker, which is that scary thing that you don't like to play when you find the YAML with the tabs and the spaces and you misalign one line with another, everything breaks and then it's doom. I don't want to touch any of that. Monitoring, and this is, I'd say top two best things that NET Aspire has is that you are prompt with a beautiful dashboard that's built on Blazor, by the way, that helps your development experience by showing you everything that happens in your application. We're gonna see it later on, but this shows everything you have on your application happening at any moment, and you can add any logs, see any traces, see any metrics, see the status of any container, any connections, any environment, anything you want to see. It's there, so you know exactly what you're building. Standardized components. This is most likely the top one thing, which is the Microsoft team and the NET Aspire team. They have built something where you can add any component, like for example Redis, or you can add Elasticsearch or OpenAI or Oyama, for example. You can add anything, but just using nuggets. And then you have your distributed application that I have my API, and you can add Redis. And Redis, if you want to do it, normally you have to deploy it and then connect the connector strings. On Aspire, it's just basically add Redis to my application, and it just works. You're gonna see it later on too. And also,
yes, do you want to switch to Visual Studio and show the app host main program? Because I really like about Aspire that is also better than YAML, if you are not a YAML fan, and I am not a YAML fan, but you can easily understand the code there. Can you zoom a little? No, people in the comments, let us know if the font size is good. But hey, this is Aspire. This is the main orchestrator part that we have here. And I will let you describe step by step what you are having here. And by the way, we have everything is open source. I didn't know if we mentioned this. If you go to the link in the bottom, aka.ms/NetAI TrafficJamAnalyzer, this time with the C, not with an S, you will get access. I'm going to share this also in the chat. You will have the chance to get everything here. So, hey, Emi, back to you.
Okay, so just before continuing the code here on the right side, you must like to see the solution that we saw before. The Aspire thing, here is where the orchestration happens, where you connect everything. And this file is, as you can see here, distributed application. You most likely know this like a web application or a normal console application that we have this builder. So this is like any normal .NET console application or something, right? So I mean, I can explain that to you, but the good thing about the NET Aspire is like you seem like reading something and you understand it without me telling you anything. So let's just start with the first two things here, so which are connected. So I have these two things here, and if you read with me, which it says builder add SQL server, I mean, Bruno, if I had to explain this to you, I make it more complicated than it is. I mean, it's basically adding SQL Server because we are creating a distributed application and we are adding SQL Server. And you remember when I told you about standardized components? These are standardized components. So Aspire has these components where you can add stuff to your application easily. So this component here is adding an SQL Server to my orchestrator. So it's going into Docker, downloading the SQL Server, and installing it on my application. But then that's not the only thing. So you can do more stuff because you can have multiple things, right? You can add data volume. This is for locals, so you keep the storage while working. But then you can add databases here. So you add databases, and you give it the name. And with this thing, if we go back to the dashboard, which is, if I don't lose it, it should be right here. I'm going to make this bigger, most likely, if you don't see it. You can see that we have a bunch of things here, like a container, which is somehow called SQL. I don't remember. I remember that I put SQL somewhere. And then you have an SQL server and the same name I remember that I put somewhere.
Yes.
So how many lines, Bruno? About, if you join everything, it's 2 lines, but about 6 lines or so, we successfully added SQL server to our application.
But yes, and what I like also about that is was you literally the line 10 that where you are is that once you add this, and if Aspire successfully can create the container and do whatever you ask, then you can add reference here because you have the first service here, which is the API service, which is, has a reference for the SQL, which is amazing.
Yes. And why this is important? So let's go back to not using distributed applications. How will you use SQL? You have to create like the connection string and everything, right? So you actually need to go to the API, and then I'm going to swap to the API, and you see that this is a minimal API, right? So you see that I have my traffics, and then with the traffics, when I'm asking for information on the database, I need to use the context, right? And the context, it comes from entity framework. And the entity framework needs a connection string to some database with a connection string, right? So we use this, but then where's my connection string? I mean, I'm not saying anything. And if you look at this line here, I'm actually using this standardized components from .NET Aspire, the official one, to say that my consuming application is also using this .NET Aspire package. And we're saying that I want to add a context as SQL server. And look at this. Do you remember this, Bruno? This SQLDB thing? Do you remember it? Because I remember
that's the name that you give it in the app host. Yes.
Exactly. If you go see this one here and you go back here, it's right here. It's the database. So with this, we are actually linking stuff with this with reference function. And well, this is basically talking to the C# code and saying, I want to do this, this, and this, And this also happens with more stuff. So this is not only for databases, because at this time we're using SQL Server, but we can do that with services itself. Well, we can connect stuff. Let's go down here to this worker, which is in the end, it's an API too. So we're referencing more stuff here. So we created successfully our 3 or 4 microservices, which are these ones, but then we are referencing here too. So we can basically reference everything. Like we can connect stuff super easy. And the way it works is basically the same. Remember these names. Remember API service, AI service, and SCAP service. And if we go to our worker that does everything on the backend, we have here our clients that call everything, right? Basically, because microservices, they need to talk with each other using URLs. So localhost at this port or myapi.com at this port or whatever, right? So they need to know each other. They need to know the connection string. If we go to the web API client, for some reason, we don't have any URLs here when we do the fetch, but when we are injecting it, as we were injecting the context here on the worker, we are passing some strange values that I think everyone is going to remember. So these values here are the ones that we are descripting. And this, I'd say I need to learn more to explain it, but this is the service discovery thing. So
yeah, we should, in the back on the days, we manually do this. And yes, this is literally service discovery. And we have, by the way, this is not new. There we have APIs and libraries in .NET that help us to do this. Aspire make this even easier because it's one layer on top of that basically make us forget about those kind of things and will connect everything. But if you go to the service discovery project, it's one of the projects that you need to add when you are doing Aspire. You are going to see that this is in the service. You have this as part of not the app host in the other project. But yes. And I love this, as you mentioned, because you can change HTTP, HTTPS, or whatever. You just need to remember the name. And this is great. And by the way, can you go back to the program for the app host?
Let me go here. Yeah, there you go.
Everything that you see here, this is literally the service diagram that you have in slide number 4 or 5. Remember?
Exactly. Yes.
And
exactly.
I really like this because I think a lot of people can read code. And this is an easy way to understand, hey, you have this chart. How these A, B connect to C and more. This is it in C#, which I like it. Exactly. In the old days, this is YAML or whatever, but C# is, I like better than YAML C#.
That's for sure. And you're right. Like having diagrams is the best thing when you want to build stuff. So you can have your diagram next to you, and it's like, okay, I have this service, and then I connect with this one, and it's basically reading and writing, and it's the same, right? So let me show you how that this. I'm not lying to you because we might be lying to you, but how is it real that these services, they are actually being referenced to each other? So let's go to our API service here, and this dashboard. This is the one I told you that we see everything here. We can see the details of all our applications. So this API, let me try to make this bigger. This API service, I can see everything. I can see the resource name, the status, if it's deployed, if it's running at what time, whatever, the endpoints and everything. But then we have the environment variables. I want to try to make this bigger. No, it's not working. So we have environment variables here. So we have a bunch of stuff here, and this is open telemetry stuff, like default stuff from minimal APIs, login. But then you see something here that at least, I don't know if you remember, Bruno, but I don't remember setting any connection strings. So we have this line here. And there's a strange things that I do remember, which is this thing. But then I for sure don't remember this password. I don't write this. I don't know the ID, the user ID, and then I don't remember anything. But that somehow my API service has a connection string. So this service discovery thing plus .NET Aspire and everything, they connected everything. Like they decide that the SQL is going to be here, so I'm going to take the connection string and I'm going to put it on my API service with just a with reference.
Yes, and hey, Frank here is that I know that he loves Aspire. We work together, as he said, but yes, he's also super right in terms that make your local dev environment process and life much more simpler because yes, you forget about these kind of things. In example, otherwise you need to have this in your app settings file, and if something changes, you need to change it. Also, by the way, it's not a good idea to have a password in a flat file, in a text file, or whatever. So there is a lot of topics that we can talk about Aspire, but the service discovery is one of the one that I really like in terms of local dev because makes everything much more easier. So thanks, Frank, and thanks everything. And I think that the SQL that you, sorry, the last one, I think the SQL sample that you're describing right now is a great one because a lot of .NET developer have experience with SQL, and we all been here with server, user ID, password, is trusted, yes or no, and more. Forget about that.
And one thing that you mentioned before, like the secret and stuff, there's this standard components and the standardized components, and you have key vault. So there's a stuff to securize your application. So, and this is, I like to say it's certified. So it's certified Microsoft stuff that is developed by the team, and then they work, and then you can add secure, and you can add other databases. You have MySQL, you have Postgres, you have everything. But
hey, before we move forward, because I know that the next stuff, can we go and take a look at the AI project, at the code of the AI project? Because I guess that the people now understand that this is a set of services, Aspire is connecting everything, and then you have the scrapper, which I'm guessing that, again, we can talk about the scrapper, different techniques and more, but I'm guessing that what you scrap is basically you get an image from the page with the cameras, and then semantic kernel. What are you using? What model are you using to analyze the images?
So I get nervous on this, but because here is the father of the Bruno is the father of everything here. So, so I basically do how you add AI to your application in .NET. elbruno.com plug semantic kernel. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna learn. So you can help me here. So I learned that semantic kernel is like this tool that lets you add AI to your application by just putting some credentials and then you ask them, and it works, right? You can improve. You can comment on this and improve it if you want. But basically, you need to install this semantic kernel. This is a cool package from Microsoft, and then you need to specify some deployment endpoint API key. I am using OpenAI from Azure, but I'm pretty sure you can use other stuff. And then you need to have a prompt. So I'm going to show you the prompt later on. I have it here in the comments. And then I built a minimal API again, but you need to add this service. As far as I know, this is injecting the services for the minimal API to be used. And then I'm creating the service itself to be used during the entire application. So about 6-7 lines, you actually add semantic kernel to your application. So
yes, and a note here, because this is something that when I talk to people, they get confused about, okay, but I am doing image analysis. What is the service for image analysis? A chat service. Literally, if you are using GPT-4o mini, in example, which is the one that I strongly advise people to use because it's fast, it's super expensive, super cheap if you compare to GPT-4o, you can literally, using a chat service, perform image analysis. And as you're probably going to show us now, depending on your prompt, you can query the text, do some kind of OCR in the image, or analyze the image, or more. But yes, it's a chat service. And again, this is a question that a lot of people are asking about. I don't find any service for image, only for image analysis, only for image generation. Chat services is your friend. Sorry, back to you, Emi.
You know what? I just learned that because I also was like, why is this chat when I'm not using it for chatting? I was just using for prompt and everything. So that's that I learned something today, which is chat. It's everything now. So we continue, and then we just have the standard build, both the kernel for the semantic kernel, and then the standard application for the minimal API. And then we have this amazing endpoint with the stuff. Like, so this is where magic happens. So every time I start the call, I do a new chat history, because it makes no sense to have any history as I'm just asking for a single result. And then I have this amazing prompt. And the prompt, in short, is I'm going to give you an image. You are going to give me back a JSON file, a JSON object, sorry, with title, with traffic, and with date, which you can find on the image itself. And then about, please don't return me anything else. You know that ChatGPT always, like, they tell you this is the result, and then they send you the result. Just don't say anything. Just give me the JSON object, and then, like, if you see more lines, just only look at the one that is super jammed. Just improving the prompt. You can most likely improve this. Please do, if you find it on the open source project. And then with this, you pass the image, which is this one. I built the image. You directly, and that's one thing that I want to ask you, Bruno. Why do I have to pass directly the image in internet, and I can't pass the binaries, for example? So that's one question for you. You can answer.
Hey, I haven't used semantic kernel for images lately, but literally I'm using Microsoft Extension for AI. And you can pass a binary array with the image, so you can not avoid this step because semantic kernel is doing for you here, but you can download, if you want, the image, get the binary array or the stream on memory, and pass the stream there. But yes, it should support both. I will add this now that we have the repo, which, again, if someone wants to test and play around, it's here. It's aka.ms/net AI TrafficJamAnalyzer. But I will do a couple of things that I don't want to spoil right now. But one, I will, maybe we can do something here different and check the performance and see if we are faster or not. But yes, you can use array, byte of array for stream if you want there.
Okay. Then I keep learning. So, well, you create the message you want to have with the image, and then you add it to a history. You newly create a history, and then, you know what? You just send it to the chat completion service, which we created, and then we get our result, which is this one. I mean, this is the content, and this is the entire message that you will get from OpenAI. And then last, but the thing that I do is I just deserialize the object, because I specifically told OpenAI to give me this specific object, and that's it. And I do get everything. And with that, we successfully call OpenAI and added AI to our application. And I can't stress this, but what about like 15 lines? I mean, for me, if I wanted to add AI to anything, I was like, you have to do these models, and then you need to do 5 classes. But then I just did in like 20 lines. I was like, I'm gonna add AI to everything now. Like, I need to drink water, just add AI there. Maybe you can help me. So yeah.
Can you show the structure of the JSON object, the result? So we see the fields there.
So
I see that.
Important thing that, and thanks for that, because that I told you that this amazing dashboard has a lot of things. There's these logs that you can see. So you can see all the things that happen if you add any logs here. So for example, if I go back to my code, you can see that I'm logging information, warning, errors, and everything, right? If I go here, you can see that this appears on my dashboard. And this content received, if you can skip this.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And you can see everything that happens on my application right from the dashboard. And for me, this is honestly amazing. I mean, you don't have to start doing breakout points and everything. You just see it in here. So this is the thing that I told you that it gets from the OpenAI thing, where I ask for a JSON file, a JSON object, and title and everything. And yeah, this gives.
Sorry, I'm a pain. Can you go back to the camera so the people remember where do you get that to the camera list? You have a full list of cameras on the main page.
So right here. So right here. So let me go here. So let's open any one of these. So
yes, that I was thinking to open one, and this is the view. This is what you are analyzing.
This is the view that OpenAI sees, and I ask OpenAI. So give me the traffic in here, and give me the title, and give me this date. So it does everything for me. I know exactly what happens, the amount of traffic, and which title it has. And you can see it here. This is the request that I do, and you can see here content. The image I'm going to provide you is an image. So here's the prompt, and most likely here is also this image that I'm sending you the link to the image, so it can analyze it. And then, well, everything that happens, and then you get this JSON object, and you can store it in the database, and then you see it in here. And if I refresh it, because this is updated, most likely, I don't know the date, the time right now, but we should have some jam everywhere. Yeah, look at this. This is where I go to my house. This is pretty jam now. So that's the thing.
And by the way, when we were talking about this last time and you were presenting this, I was starting to think, hey, we can improve here and we can try a couple of things, like an example, do a few shot learning approach where you passed the image, you have the image and you pass the image to the model with the current status, but you also provide a couple of samples of, hey, this is, analyze this image, give me the title and the time, and give me the traffic level, but also use this image as a reference of a no traffic one, and this image as a very heavy traffic. You can do few shots. But then I started to think, oh, but that's going to be tricky because you also need to be aware of the time of the day and the light and more. So if you are not, it's not the same to analyze this when you are having night images or day images and more on a rainy day or whatever. But the model, when I saw this and more, the model seems to be good enough to get the right context without any few shot extra information. So it's analyzed different images because in the huge array or grid of cameras, there are some from the top, some from the side, some from the whatever.
Yes. I can show you. You have here like lots of
different angles. You have different views.
Yes, everything, any like all type of angles. And it just works. It's insane. I was like, when I wanted to do this, I was like, is this really going to work? I'm going to give, is it going to be able to tell me there's super traffic?
Hey, Alex said that now you need to train a machine learning model that's just at the time you should leave so you don't get in traffic. Hey, yes, you have history here. So do some kind of regression to solve that. Also, and Frank is being Frank saying that, okay, you probably told this when you were stuck in traffic.
Most likely, yes. I like the Alex approach. I mean, we have the data. If we went to the database, we have like every minute, or every 2 or 5 minutes, we have an entry of there's traffic, there's no traffic. So you can actually do AI with that.
Not only do AI, but also, in example, we can suggest to the DGT, the traffic public entity, that if they have a history, and now you can get the history of stacks or traffic jams and more, they can say that, hey, usually during October, this section of the road is stuck here and here, but you know what, in December is fine or whatever. You have the data right now. So yes, you can start to do history, whatever, you can start to do predictions and more.
I like the predictions. Yeah, I really like prediction. I hopefully someone here on the chat can know us about it, but I like to improve this by adding predictions. So you have data basically. So can you tell me, okay, during last week, like last month, every Monday at this time is getting jammed, so don't leave at that time. So, and that's something that we can do. So
because that's what you store. Yes, you store the name of the camera, the traffic level from 0 to what do you?
From 0 to 100.
0 to 100, and then you have the date. So yes, you have a timeline series, so that's amazing. And you can detect anomalies and more, saying, hey, usually this is not, I'm sorry, this is the machine learning perfect in me, say, when you have a timeline series, you're going to start to detect anomalies here and there, but hey, here is the starting point to do something amazing. And as you mentioned, and as you saw, the AI part, once you have the camera frame, it's 20 lines of code. Maybe if you make it login and organize everything, is a little more. But yes, everything is there. Hey, I love it. Yes, sorry.
And yeah, just to say, like, it's insane how easy it is to build everything. Because in the end, if you think like, how can you build this? How can you build like these 5 microservices and add everything? And you just add bunch of microservice technologies, like you add Blazor, like this web page is built in Blazor, super easy to build. It's a single page with everything. And then you NET Aspire, you connect 5 services with a database, and then you add AI in 20 lines, and then you help your life. You know, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to improve my quality of life, I still need to get to jam because I know exactly what happens. So I know to be prepared to be sad when I'm in the traffic jam. But now at least I know before I
Yes, and hey, this is a good one also from CCPRN. Sorry, the naming and Bruno is not usually a good combination. But say Google Maps already does traffic congestions, but they don't use Vision for it. You probably knew that. I know that an example in Waze, I use Waze for GPS. When a lot of people are tracking and reporting heavy traffic, accidents, and more, and I'm guessing that they use that. I don't know if they use Vision. Probably no. But yes, hey, different tactics, different approach, and more. We have 10 more minutes. So if people have questions, please start to drop your question in the chat. One question that I have for you, and we'll shortly talk about this before starting behind the cameras. Deploying this. Because in my head, and I know that Aspire was, and we talk a lot about how make it easier your life as a local development, whatever. But if you want to deploy, you have here 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 services plus SQL plus more. What do you learn or what you can share about deploying? If you want to Kubernetes the hell of it or whatever, because people love Kubernetes, not me. But anything that we can share about that?
Yeah, so official documentation and officially what you do with Aspire is that you go to Azure. So you have to Azure Container Registry, and then you click right here. This is insane. You click right here, publish, and then it basically prompts you with going to Azure, and it takes some time, sorry, to go to Azure and you deploy everything to containers. There's this amazing thing that people is working. This is not official, but there's this project. It's called Aspirate, which is Aspire and 8, and they are working on creating this manifest for Kubernetes, so you can actually deploy in Kubernetes. And I am actively trying to learn that and deploy this on local instead of having to go into Azure, because I told you before, Bruno, like this should be this shouldn't be tied to a certain provider. This should be containers, and then you put it whenever you want, whatever you want. So as far as I know, this works with Kubernetes. I still need to work on that. But if you want to make it work instantly and just right-click publish, goes to Azure Container Registry, and it works, and it connects everything for you. So the good thing is that when you're working here and you click on publish, it goes directly to Azure with the same configuration you have in local. So that's why it says cloud native development. So whatever you're building local, you don't have to do anything. It just works on production or on cloud or wherever you are, whatever you are deploying to. But it's just the same. It works. It does everything for you, and it works. If you want to go outside having Azure, then you need to do some stuff.
Hey, Frank saying that ACD, the CLI commands, ACD app, ACD deploy, provision, and more are super cool. Yes, we can give it a try here. I will give it a try. I will play around with the repo to try to figure out if we can automate the deploy. And questions here from Evie, which is not El Bruno, but I like it. Evie asking about, did you use container app, Kubernetes service, or something else for deploy?
When I did deploy, when I was testing the deployments on .NET, I go directly to container apps. So it goes everything there, and it just works. As I said, I really want to learn on deploying this. I think this is, to be honest, some feedback also for the documentation. This is the worst, less documented deployment. And I think this is the most important part because you can build everything, but then, okay, where do I deploy this? I don't know. But yeah, just container apps, and it did work.
Awesome. And hey, we are almost at the end of the hour, and I want to say two things. First of all, thanks for doing this in Blazor, because I am learning Blazor. I know that Frank knows Blazor. We have Daniel, a lot of people here, a lot of Blazor. I am so behind this. So this is also a nice one for me to, this is cool because I understand some HTML.
Yeah, Blazor is my baby. I get comments saying, it's not that good. It's amazing. Like, look, you see HTML here, but then you click. I mean, you start seeing C# here. Come on, this is super easy. You just show something if there's no traffic. I mean, you're reading this and you see, okay, if there's no traffic, you show something. And if there's traffic, you do for each, and you show stuff here. You can call functions. You can, you have the object here, the item, and then you can start calling the stuff in there. It's super easy to implement, And the last version we have on Blazor, which is the Blazor, only Blazor, not server anymore, Blazor Web, it has stream rendering, and it has static server-side rendering, and it just works. I mean, it just works. And if you go down, you keep seeing stuff. You keep seeing for each. You keep seeing functions. If you go down to the very end, you see, well, I'm getting traffics calling an endpoint, and then whenever with everything is done, I just tell, update my page, and it works.
Cool. That's cool. Hey, yes. When I see Blazor, I understand Blazor, but sometimes I don't know where to start. But every time that I see something like this, I say, okay, I need to do it. I need to build something. I need to do something and get it here. And this is an amazing example of what we can do. Hey, Emmy, we are literally at the end. I know we have a couple of more minutes, but I know that we have a busy schedule. So once again, let me add here the repo. You have all of the links there in the bottom. You have Emmy blogs. You have also the repo and more. I will try to run everything locally. I will try to change the AI part to use a Lava model running in Olama in a container. So we can also have this kind of an isolated, something that you can run at home if you want or something. But once again, I really, really want to say thanks, because this was amazing. I love this scenario as a real AI scenario using everything, Aspire, Blazor, and more.
I mean, thanks for the opportunity to be here, and obviously thanks for your blog where we get to know semantic kernel, because as I said before, I learned this because of you. So,
hey, no, now we will have people asking questions. No, I will redirect the question to Frank and the other people around everything. Hey, Emmy, thank you very much. See you in NET One. And people, remember, if you want to go, please go to the repo, give us our comments, PR, issues, and more. We want to grow this one. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Emmy.
See you. Bye-bye.